Americanism, not globalism, will be our credo. Then we can be assured that other nations will not treat America with respect, the respect that we deserve.
What is up, people of the internet? It is me, Real American Politics, back in with a new video, and today we're going to be doing another kind of a deep dive, updated video on the great state of Arizona as they have a key Senate election this year. And folks, there's been some very unique developments in this race that, quite frankly, we must talk about because it seems like this race is trending towards the correct direction for the Republican Party. Now, I'm going to get this out of the way right off the bat. Mark Kelly is done. He's done. No matter who he runs against, my opinion, as of now, he's going to lose this race. But it is a matter of how much he loses by. If he loses by a half point, it's like whoop-de-doo. But there is a couple candidates here that I personally believe will defeat Mark Kelly by like 2 to 3 points. And that would be a big W. I mean, this guy really costed himself. I mean, his votes have been terrible. He's not been a quote-unquote moderate. He's been voting with Biden like 90% of the time. It's like, give me a break. But before we continue with today's video, I hope you enjoy these type of videos. If you do, smash like down below, subscribe, share with your friends, hit the little bell, and yes. Now, with Arizona, it's one of those states that is very hard to argue about because there's many people that have this notion that's a neocon state or some garbage like that. I made a whole video on that. It is not a neocon state. Sure, McCain and, John Kyle, I think his name was, sure, they do good there, but it's like, okay, look who they ran against. Every single time those guys ran against progressives, and they crushed them each time, like, no dirt. Arizona's one of those states that you could put Trump against, Bernie Sanders, and Trump would win by 10. It's just a fact. And that's my reason that it's not a neocon state. Give me a break. It's one of those states that is, I guess you could say, more center-right, but has some more populist tendencies. Not like full-blown nationalism, but still has some tendencies for populism. Now, Republicans do have some very interesting candidates in this race. I'm just going to ignore the two on the right. Nobody cares about them. McGuire, you're not going to win. You're pulling like 3%. Olson, who the hell is Olson? The three people that do matter is Mark Brnovich, Jim Lemon, I call him the Lemon, and Blake Masters. All three of these guys have, I guess you could say, somewhat of a serious chance of winning this race. Now, I personally believe that Mark Brnovich is done. And I'm going to show you why. You go down here, and you saw here early on, he was at 29, 40% of the vote, according to the polls. But ever since then, since Blake Masters announced, he's been trending downwards, downwards, downwards. And now today, you see these two polls here, he's at 14%, 20%, 20%. This poll here we'll get to in a second. But you see that he has trended down dramatically since, 2021. While Masters, on the other hand, has been trending upwards. So this is a big reason why I think Brnovich is done. But also this. This came out a couple days ago, and I'm not going to go too much into it again. Go read it yourselves. It's pathetic. Essentially, so everybody knows the Arizona audit, and for months, Brnovich was talking about, this report, like, hey, we're going to expose everything. Well, this report came to the state legislature, and it's a wet fart. All it does is, not even a joke, copy and paste what the Arizona audit found, which, by the way, they released their report, I think a year ago already. And all he did was copy that and paste it on this document. That's all they did. And, well, what does it show? Everything the Arizona audit found. He didn't announce any, criminal charges. Nothing. All he said was Maricopa County did something bad. It's like, what? You're the Attorney General of Arizona, and this is all you come up with? I mean, it's pathetic. It's nothing new. It's just the same old things we've been talking about for a while. Now, again, it does reiterate the point that very suspicious things happen, like, not saying the F word directly, but still, it's like, oh, this is a very interesting Very interesting report, but it's like, we saw this a year ago. He copied and pasted it. And it pissed off a lot of people. I know this personally behind the scenes. A lot of people are pissed by this. And it's like, you're not getting the Trump endorsement after this. If you wanted Trump's endorsement, you had to do an actual investigation, not this crap. So, yeah. Mark Brnovich is done. But also, why would we even want this guy? I mean, you go here. In 2018, Brnovich only won by 3.5 points. Now, I know this is a blue wave here. But look at the governorship. Just look at the governorship and tell me that, oh, this is a blue wave year in Arizona. No. For the statewide races, except the Secretary of State race, this was a red wave year. All right, a red wave. And Mark Brnovich blew it. He only won by 3.5 points. He was expected to win this race by 10. The reason why? The Democrat was a progressive. And progressives in Arizona always get the shit kicked out of them. It's usually never close. But this is one of the first instances where the progressive, came close to winning. Now, I know the secretary race happened, but that's a whole can of worms that happened there. But for the attorney general's race, he only won by 3.5 points. And all the polls, they all favor Brnovich by 12, 13 points. Yeah, sure about that. He only won by 3.5. It was pathetic. So Brnovich, in my opinion, is done. He's not getting the nomination. He's not a good candidate. It's like, you're done. You're done, dude. So in my opinion, there's really only 2 candidates that have a real chance. Blake Masters and Jim Lemon, aka the Lemon. Again, I don't care about McGuire. This guy had 2 good polls for him. The rest have been horrendous for him. Now, Blake Masters is, of course, a candidate I fully endorse, fully support. He's a chat on the issues. And in my opinion, he's the one that's actually, going to win this nomination. It appears Trump will endorse Blake Masters, according to some very cryptic tweets from Blake Masters lately. Now, the only reason I'm talking about Lemon is, well, according to polls, he has surged in the state of Arizona. Now, here's my issue with this. And this is why. Look at the sample sizes of these polls that, have him up, by 26% or like 17%, 300 voters, 500 voters, 264. It's like, what? The only polls that show him having a real surge, like gaining, 10 points in a month, is low sample size polls. And the ones that have decent size sample polls, like Fabrizio or Coefficient, they only show him gaining maybe 3 or 4 points at most. It's like, that's it. That is all he gained. And also, you look at these polls here, it's like, this poll here, Data Orbital, they have him up at 26%. Look at 2018. Look what they predicted. A 13-point victory for Brnovich. These guys are the definition of wishcasters. They're one of the worst pollsters for Republicans in the country. They always wishcast for whoever they're polling for. They always lie. They never, tell them the truth. They give them some bullshit, poll like, oh, this is exactly what you wanted to hear, not the truth. I mean, these guys wishcast all the time. I mean, how do you miss this badly? That is such a big miss, especially in Arizona, which the polling isn't necessarily great there, but still, it's like, you missed this race by almost 10 points with only a month to go. You really telling me that the Contreras, gained, nearly every single undecided voter? Give me a break. These guys are wishcasters. They always screw up every single primary they poll. They always F it up. But there is one pollster that is showing a clear trend. Fabrizio. These guys here. These guys are the best Republican pollster in the country. Not because, they're favoring my candidate. It's just because, they're one of the only pollsters in 2016 that told Trump, go to Michigan, go to Michigan, go to Michigan. You're going to win that race. You just need a campaign there. They're the only ones to say that, and it worked. These guys are one of the best internal pollsters in the country. They predict a lot of things for internals. Now, some of their public polls, I wouldn't necessarily call great. That's all I will say about them, but their internals that I have seen in the past, they're generally speaking pretty spot on. And they show Blake Masters surging. And again, they also show, Jim Lamont surging, but not by 20 points in a month, like 10 points, in a couple months. That's reasonable. I mean, the polls were a couple months apart. Like, okay, gaining 10 points in a couple months, that's not crazy. And when you do the math, it's, even makes more sense. A lot of the Brnovich vote that, we're supporting him because he's, more, I guess you could say, conservative, traditional conservative. They hate what he's doing as Attorney General, and they flip to Jim Lamont, and we see this in the poll. So it's like, yeah, that's reasonable. Unlike these polls that, have, 33% undecided, and Jim Lamont's at 26%. That's bullshit. But as you can see, Republicans appear to have, a trending frontrunner in Blake Masters. Again, Lamont could do something. He's not terrible. It's just, I personally prefer Blake Masters for the United States Senate. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, smash the like button down below, subscribe, share it with friends, hit the little bell, and yes, thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you guys in the next video. Godspeed to all of you.